Aloha, Sydzillains! Welcome to episode 57 of This Night in Stars. For this episode, as you saw from the title, I am doing a movie review for All My Life. If you have not yet seen it, be warned, this video contains spoilers. If at any point during the video you see me looking down, that's just because I have some notes here on my iPad. I had a cold sore and couldn't film the video right away after watching the movie, so it's been a few weeks from then till now. So the basic plot of the movie is that Solomon and Jennifer meet at a bar. Saul's out with his guy friends, Jen's out with her girlfriends, and fast forward, they are now a newly engaged couple who've just moved in together into Jennifer's apartment. Now one night, Solomon gets this sharp stabbing pain, and it turns out that he has liver cancer. At first, things seem to be going well and he's in remission to survive, but it all comes back full force, much worse than when he had it originally. So at first, the two of them decide, we're going to postpone our wedding, there's no point getting married, but their friends surprise them with a GoFundMe campaign, and they do, in fact, have a wedding. So they're married by the time Solomon passes away at the end of the film. So, as it turns out, one thing that makes this film even sadder than it originally is that Solomon and Jennifer are real people. This story truly did happen to a Canadian couple. The real-life Solomon passed away in 2015. And at the end of the film, they actually show a clip from the IRL wedding of the real Jen and the real Saul. Oh my god, that just makes a heart-wrenching story even more sad than if it had just been someone's made-up creativity. If you would like to know more details on how accurate this film is to the life of the real Jen and Saul, I found an article online while I was writing my notes, so I'll link it in the description if you care to read it. Continuing on with the topic of sadness, if you were to classify this movie by genre, it is most definitely a rom-com, but at the same time, I believe it is one of the top 3 sad movies of all time, at least based on films that I've seen, that is. The other two, in no particular order, would be All the Bright Places and My Girl. All 3 of these films I highly recommend to you if you haven't seen them, but be aware that you are going to bawl your eyes out. If you can't handle being sad, maybe don't pick these films. So, before I change topics and brighten up the video, there's one more thing I want to say in regards to sadness, which is, in my opinion, the top 3 saddest scenes in the film. So the first one is we see Jen with her friends at a workout class. I think it was yoga, if I recall correctly. When she gets a text from Saul, he's telling her to come home. So she leaves the class early, and when she sees him outside the apartment, he has a dog, aka Otis. And you're probably wondering, why the hell is a dog sad? Normally that's exciting. New pet, new friend, new family member. But if you recall a previous scene, Saul had said, if it's bad news, let's get a dog. Therefore, it can only be bad news. And the news in particular was his cancer coming back. He's not in remission and as healthy as they both previously thought.
Hey, if we get bad news, we should get a dog.
Don't say that. We're getting good news.
He's ours.
The second sad scene is more of a happy sad. It's a bit of both sides of the scale. But anyway, one of Saul's friends is named Kyle, and Kyle had recently been ghosting the friend group because Solomon's disease reminded him of the situation with his dad when Kyle's dad got really sick and has also since passed away. Now, Saul is luckily very understanding of this, and he's not mad at his friend. He understands that it's like a PTSD kind of thing almost. But fast forward to when they're at their wedding, there's one scene during the reception, and we see that Kyle has showed up. He showed up to the wedding, and it made me so happy. He was there to support his friend, no matter what, and I loved it. The third saddest scene in the film is probably the entire ending of the movie. Going into the film, I did not know that it is based on a true story, and as a viewer, you don't actually learn that till the end of the movie. So, weirdly enough, I was naive, I was innocent. Honestly, I low-key had hope and an assumption that Saul would get better and everything in the end would just be fine, but clearly it was not. So the entire ending wrecked me after I'd been attached to these characters for the last 2 hours or so. Now, they did try and intersperse a little bit of humor to this scene, and there was some good parts that made it a little more bearable to watch. Like, for example, the honeymoon that Saul and Jen were supposed to have gone on, Jen has now gone on it with her two friends instead. And she's given a box by these two friends that opens alone after they've left the room. The box contains two things. The first is a USB drive that Jen puts into her laptop, and up pops a video of Saul wearing the red Speedo, the red Speedo bathing suit he had aforementioned in a previous scene. He would have worn it on this vacation had he been able to come. And the second thing was a bunch of note cards, like 50 or more, all containing different zucchini recipes. Even if Saul's not here in person, he's going to make dang sure that Jen will fall in love with zucchini. And the whole thing with the zucchini, it actually harkens back to their very first date. They were going for a run in the park when they passed this food truck where one of Saul's friends worked. Not from the core group when they first met in the bar, but just another friend he happens to have. Now this friend is trying out a new recipe for zucchini fritters. So first Saul tries it, then gives his advice on, it needs this, it needs that. Then Jen tries it, and she makes a face of disgust because she hates zucchini. But because Saul loves it, that's why he's on the mission to make her like it. Hence the recipes in the box at the end of the film. Another thing you learn by the time you've reached the end of the film is that at the very beginning, that was not some random narrator. That was Jen reading you Saul's eulogy. That whole scene, all those words, was a foreshadowing. It wasn't just random details or random fun facts. Given this is a movie about disease and death, let's give you the average length of life people have. No, that was the eulogy. Jen was reading out what she wrote for Saul, and you don't learn that till the end, which just makes the beginning even sadder if you were to go back and rewatch it. It hits so much different when you know the truth about those lines. So now we'll change topics and mention that Saul's career, his job in the film, once he quits his crappy desk job, is being a chef. And I really liked that because I'm into cooking myself. I've gone to culinary school, I run Said Cooks here on YouTube, subscribe if you aren't already. But anyway, I'm big into cooking, so I loved that he was into cooking too. I especially like how supportive Jen is being with the whole restaurant thing, encouraging Saul to quit said crappy desk job, suggesting that he could go work at her cousin's restaurant. Gigi has one that's very popular and always busy. For example, later on in the film, they're hosting Friendsgiving, which is basically Thanksgiving, but you have your friends come over, not your family members. Anyway, Saul is of course doing all the cooking, and there's a very unique stuffing recipe that he makes, and Gigi takes a little sample taste before they all sit down at the table. She comments how delicious it is, how delectable the stuffing is, and that Saul should totally come work at her restaurant because it is so much better than anything her current chef is currently making. And I loved that this comment came totally of Gigi's own accord and not because Jen pushed her into it. Jen was meddling, Jen this, Jen that. I know Jen had suggested, hey, work in Gigi's restaurant, but when Gigi said it, it was her own choice to say it, not because she was forced to say it. And therefore, the fact that Saul did choose to work in the restaurant, he did leave said crappy desk job, it was his choice to do it. He did what he wanted because he could.
What's in the stuffing?
Hey Gigi, it's sticky rice, shiitake, Szechuan sausage, and coconuts.
Hit me.
Careful inside.
You just messed me up. Oh my god, Szechuan sausage? You just straight up messed me up. Hit me again. Jen, you're mad.
I know, right?
Come on. Wait, I would serve this in my restaurant.
Yeah?
My chef could use a little inspiration. You need to come work for me, Saul. What else do you have here?
Miso carrots, and then we got a little bit of garlic, bok choy.
This is wonderful.
So now I'd like to talk about the two scenes of the film that I found the most predictable. Number one, we go back to Saul and Jen's first date that I had aforementioned. One of the things that happens on that date is that they see a band playing some live music in the park, and the song that's currently playing is called Sally Can Wait. And I just had a huge feeling that that was going to be their song. Like, they heard it on their first date, now they're together forever. Of course, that song is going to be their song. And so flash forward to the proposal. When Saul proposes to her, he orchestrates a flash mob on a bridge by the water. And what song is being played by the band he hires? Sally Can Wait. I freaking called it. The second obvious scene is there's one time when Saul, Jen, and a combination of their friends have all gone shopping. Saul, in particular, is looking through a bunch of records that are for sale, like music records. And the lady who works the counter is suggesting to him, buy Pat Benatar album. Specifically, the song, Hit Me With Your Best Shot. Now, later on in the movie, Saul is putting on a record at their home record player to listen to some music. They've also got the bottle of wine, gonna have a couple glasses, and I just knew it, even before I started playing, that the song they put on was gonna be Hit Me With Your Best Shot, Pat Benatar. Because if they didn't play that song at least one time in the movie, what the heck was the point of the previous scene buying the album? Like, why even have that in the plot at all? It serves no purpose. So when they listened to that song, I was like, ha, knew it. I can't think of much else that I want to say as a part of my review, so I'm going to say one final thing, and then we'll wrap it up with my rating. And that final thing is, I loved at the end of the movie when Saul's friend Dave, one of his best friends, opens a bar in his honor. Specifically, he names the bar Now or Never in honor of Saul's famous quote/saying. He says now or never all the time throughout the movie, all the time throughout his life. So for my rating of this movie, I rate it very, very highly, and of course recommend it to you to watch if you can handle the sadness, as I mentioned earlier in this video. Now, specifically, I give my rating as 9.5 out of 10, and the only reason it does not get that true 10 is because of how sad it was. It was based on a true story, and it totally wrecked me. I was a crying mess when I watched this film, and had it been just a little bit happier, I might have given it that full 10. But 9.5 is still a really, really good mark for this movie to be receiving. Since I just gave my rating, that's going to wrap up this video. So if you liked it, please drop a big one down below. Subscribe if you're new so you don't miss any of my future content. Feel free to comment down below your opinion/review if you've already seen the film. Check me out on social media, linked in the description, and aloha till next time!